They said it was a bond that could never be broken. They said the Golden State Warriors weren't just a team, they were a family, a dynasty built on the purest chemistry in the history of the NBA. For over a decade, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers, redefined the game of basketball. They didn't just win 4 championships together, they changed the way the world looked at the three-point line. They shared a telepathic connection that seemed to transcend the physical court. When Steph looked left, Klay was already moving right. When Klay was hot, Steph was the first to wave his arms in celebration. But standing here in the spring of 2026, the silence between them is deafening. The Chase Center, once the cathedral of their shared joy, has become the tomb of a dead friendship. The farewell tour that was supposed to be a celebration of 2 legends walking into the sunset together has turned into a cold, bitter, and heartbreaking reality. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about the total collapse of a brotherhood. Today, we dive deep into the 2025-26 season, the year the Splash Brothers finally stopped speaking. To understand how we got to this point of total silence, we have to go back to the summer of 2024. When Klay Thompson decided to leave the Golden State Warriors for the Dallas Mavericks, the world was in shock, but the public narrative back then was one of mutual respect. Stephen Curry posted a heartfelt tribute on Instagram. Klay wrote a love letter to the Bay Area. We all thought it was a graceful exit, but behind the scenes, the resentment was already simmering like a slow-burning fire. Sources close to the team now reveal that Klay felt Steph didn't do enough to fight for him in the front office. While Draymond Green was vocal about Klay's contract, Steph, the face of the franchise, stayed silent, opting for his usual neutral leadership style. To Klay, that neutrality felt like a betrayal. Fast forward to the start of the 2025-26 season, Klay's first year in Dallas had been a roller coaster, but as he entered his second season with the Mavericks, something changed. He wasn't just a former teammate anymore, he was a rival, and the competitive fire that made them great was starting to turn into something much darker. The first real sign that the brotherhood was dead happened on November 14, 2025. The Mavericks traveled to San Francisco for a primetime matchup. Usually, when former stars return, there's a pre-game dinner, a glass of wine, a chance to catch up. Not this time. Stephen Curry reached out to Klay Thompson 3 times that week. No response. When they stepped onto the court for warm-ups, the atmosphere was icy. Normally, these two would find each other, share a laugh, and maybe a quick shooting competition. Instead, Klay kept his head down, focused entirely on his warm-up routine. Steph stood at mid-court, looking toward the Dallas basket, waiting for a nod that never came. During the game, it got worse. Klay was guarding Steph with an intensity that bordered on personal. At one point, Klay fouled Steph hard, unnecessarily hard, sending him to the floor. The crowd went silent. Draymond Green rushed over, but Klay just turned his back and walked to the other end. No hand offered, no "my bad," just cold, hard eyes. After the game, when the cameras were looking for that iconic jersey swap, it didn't happen. Klay Thompson walked straight to the locker room without looking back. When reporters asked Steph Curry about it in the post-game press conference, his eyes were red. All he said was, "People change, seasons change." As the 2025-26 season progressed, the Cold War became the talk of the league. It wasn't just that they weren't speaking, it's that they were actively avoiding each other's existence. In December, a mutual friend, a former Warriors assistant coach, tried to organize a private sit-down in Los Angeles to clear the air. Steph showed up, Klay didn't. Word leaked out that Klay had told friends he was done playing second fiddle to a golden boy who didn't have his back. The psychological toll on the Warriors' farewell tour was massive. This was supposed to be the season where the NBA honored the dynasty. Every city they visited, there were tribute videos. But how do you celebrate a duo when one half of the duo isn't there and the other half refuses to mention his name? By January, Draymond Green was caught in the middle. Draymond, known for his loud mouth, was uncharacteristically quiet about the feud. On his podcast, he admitted, "It's heavy. It's a heavy vibe. You got two guys who love each other, but the pride is just too high right now. It's ruining the vibe for everyone." The breaking point came during the 2026 All-Star Weekend. Both Steph and Klay were in the building, Steph as a starter, Klay as a legacy invitee. In the past, they were inseparable during these events. They were the life of the party. But at the Saturday night gala, witnesses saw them standing on opposite ends of the room. A high-ranking NBA official reportedly tried to bring them together for a photo op. Klay Thompson's response was short and brutal. "Not today, and probably not ever." That quote hit the tabloids the next morning. The Splash Brothers brand was officially dead. The fans were heartbroken. Social media was flooded with clips of their old celebrations, the high fives, the shimmying, the championships. It felt like watching a marriage dissolve in real time. But why? Why would a decade of success vanish over a contract dispute and a lack of phone calls? The truth, as it is often, was deeper than basketball. The 2025-26 season saw Klay Thompson struggling with his basketball mortality. His legs weren't what they used to be. His shot was inconsistent. Seeing Steph Curry still playing at an MVP level, still being the hero, hurt Klay's pride. He didn't want Steph's pity. He didn't want Steph's support. He wanted to be Steph's equal, and when he realized that era was over, he shut the door on the relationship entirely. The regular season finale in April was the final nail in the coffin. Warriors versus Mavericks, a game with playoff implications, but the only thing anyone cared about was the two men wearing numbers 30 and 11. Before tip-off, the Warriors played a massive 5-minute tribute video. On the Jumbotron, it was a masterpiece of sports storytelling. It showed their first practice together in 2011. It showed the 73-win season. It showed the tears after the 2022 championship. The entire arena was standing, crying, cheering for the greatest backcourt to ever play. The camera panned to Stephen Curry. He was wiping his eyes, visibly moved. The camera panned to Klay Thompson. He was staring at the floor, chewing his white towel, showing zero emotion. When the game ended, a narrow win for Dallas, the moment everyone dreaded finally arrived. The final horn sounded. Stephen Curry walked towards center court, clearly making one last attempt to bridge the gap. He stopped at the logo, waiting for Klay. Klay looked up, saw Steph, and instead of walking towards him, he walked towards the Mavericks tunnel. He didn't wave to the crowd. He didn't acknowledge his old home. He just left. Stephen Curry stood alone on the logo, the shadow of a dynasty towering over him. The farewell tour had ended, not with a bang, but with a cold, silent whimper. As we sit here today, the 2025-26 season is over. The playoffs are underway, but the shadow of the Splash Brothers collapse hangs over everything. What does this do to their legacy? For years, we held them up as the gold standard of professional sports relationships. We used them as the example of how ego can be set aside for the greater good. But the fall of 2025 showed us that even the strongest bonds have a breaking point. Klay's silence has become his armor. Stephen Curry's sadness has become his new reality. Will they ever speak again? Maybe. Time has a way of healing things that pride destroys. Maybe 10 years from now, at a Hall of Fame induction or a jersey retirement, they'll sit down and realize that the 2025-26 Cold War was a waste of their final years together. But for now, the story of the Splash Brothers is no longer a tragedy. It's a tragedy, a story of two men who conquered the world together, only to realize they couldn't survive each other's shadows. The end of a brotherhood. Why Steph and Klay stopped speaking isn't just a headline. It's the end of an era that defines a generation. As fans, we're left with the highlights and the memories, wondering how something so beautiful could end so bitterly. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the 2025-26 season. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories behind the legends. What do you think? Will Steph and Klay ever fix their bond? Or is this really the end? Let us know in the comments below.